Hello YouTube, I'm just doing a simple mega tank showdown today, and yes, I am using my smartphone and the HD camera on it. I don't know how the other reviewers do it. This is just a simple review and I am an amateur, but because I've got so many of these mega tanks, I just want to do a showdown with them and see which one is the best. So what we've got is the TFV12, the TFV8. I've got the Blazer on the Alien Smok, and there's a reason why the Blazer 200 is on that particular mod. The reason is that the coil is playing up a little bit, so I don't know how it's going to go for this review. Coil was fantastic in the beginning, but now it's playing up a little bit. The Arctic V12 on the Rolo 200, and we've got the Melo 300 as well. And no, I'm not going to vape the Melo 300 on that particular mod. It's not powerful enough, but it's just there for display purposes. I may have to shift some of these tanks around. So I'm just going to place my smartphone up here, and we're going to get started. Yes, this is a very simple review. No bells and whistles, no fancy introduction section. This is my first review ever. Actually, my second review. So 90 watts. We're going to start. All these tanks are wide open, airflow wide open. I don't really like to vape with the airflow wide open, but I don't think I have a choice if I'm going to compare these. And some of you want to see just what these tanks can do. So let's start at the TFV12 at 90 watts. Nothing. It's just nothing. It's 90 watts, doesn't even heat this thing up. The TFV8, Smok TFV8 on the Smok GX350 at 90 watts. That's actually a satisfying vape, I've got to say. 90 watts on this tank is pretty good. By the way, why do a lot of reviewers, when they're doing a review on a big tank like this, why do they come up right here in the video and vape here? Why do they do that? To understand how much vapor these things are producing, you really need to stand back a bit, and that's why I'm back here. So onto that Blazer, which is giving me a little bit of a problem, 90 watts. Don't know if it's going to survive this entire review, but we'll see how we go. So 90 watts on the Blazer 200. Fantastic flavour on this particular tank. By the way, I'm using mango, I think it's mango pound cake from Vape Chemist in 3 of these tanks. I already had juice in 2 of them. I've got French Dude in the TFV12, and I have, not even sure what I've got in the TFV8. I think it might be French Dude as well. So let's move on to the Arctic V12. I've used this tank quite a bit, and I must say I love this tank. But I got this one before I got the other 5, so don't know how it's going to stack up now. 90 watts on the Arctic V12. Nice, but you can tell at 90 watts on the V12, it's still cold. And by the way, I do have the 0.3 ohm coil. I actually prefer the 0.3 ohm coils in these Arctic V12s. I like the V24 as well, the 24 coil, but I think the 0.3s produce good flavour, and they do go up a bit. Now I'm gonna have to play around with some of these tanks, unfortunately, to get through this review. I may or may not edit this video later on to make it more watchable. Okay, so we've got the Melo 300, 90 watts, airflow open. The airflow is totally closed. Nothing at 90 watts. This thing doesn't even get out of bed in the morning at 90 watts. It's nothing. No, nothing at all. So For the sake of keeping this video brief, we're just going to jump straight up to 120. And I'm going to leave the TFV12 till last because I know how much power that thing has got. So let's go to the TFV8, go up to 120 watts here. And I do have the V8 coil in this. 0.16 it's reading, 0.16 ohm, 120 watts. Very nice. And by the way, the airflow was not fully open on that one. I gotta say, this tank was the first one to come out, this mega tank, TFV8, Cloud Beast King. 6 months old, and 6 months is a long time in vaping. And this thing kicks ass. This is actually a fantastic tank. The flavour is really good in the TFV8. And it vapes really well, even down to 80 watts. At 120, fantastic. Now here's that blazer that's giving me some consternation. We'll put that up to 120 watts. Bear with me a moment. Get that straight on. 120 watts on the Smok V8. If I get a really bad dry hit, the blazer falls out of contention. Actually, it's working quite good. Fantastic flavour. The mango pound cake is really nice in this. Blazer 200 is a fantastic tank. These are all good tanks. You really can't go wrong. But if you don't want to buy 5, hopefully this review might help you. Now on the Rollo 200, we've got the Arctic V12. Put that up to 120 watts. Okay. 120 watts, Arctic V12 for the 0.3 ohm coil. That's beautiful, beautiful flavour out of this tank. I mean, all these tanks have got great flavour. For a sub-ohm tank, it's not a rebuildable tank atomizer, it's just a pre-built coil. Arctic V12 is fantastic. And even though this is the 0.3 ohm coil, it wants more. It wants more gas. I can tell. It's still a little bit cold, but you can vape it at 120 all day. So we move on to the big boy, the TFV12. This thing is a cloud chucking machine. I can tell you now. Not the sort of tank you might go for just flavour, but if you just want clouds, this thing's ridiculous. So let's go up to 120 watts on this. It's still cold. 120. This thing is in a coma at 120 watts. Nothing. Especially with the airflow wide open like that. Just nothing. So, let's move on to the Melo at 120 watts. And this is where my Maxo is going to alternate between these two, and I hopefully don't have to adjust it for a new coil. It's reading at 0.14, so it's usually 0.16. It's a 6 coil design, I think. So the Melo 300 actually does like 120. 120 just feels like a bit of a sweet spot for it. I'm vaping 3 milligram juice in all of these. So I'm going to be a little bit nicked out. But for the sake of science, I'm going to do it. So we're just going to jump straight up to 150 watts now. No mucking around, we're going to go to 150 and then we're going to go maybe to 180 or 200. So time for the TFV8 at 150. I do feel a little bit anxious about vaping the TFV8 at 150. It is the original Cloud Beast King. but I find that it does stretch it a little bit at 150 watts, but I guess we'll see now. Flavour actually intensifies at 150 with the airflow wide open on this thing, so pretty good. Pretty good. Still does it at 150. It's just starting to get warm on the TFV8. And Blazer's going to be a bit of a worry for me, and that's why it's on the Smok Alien, because I don't think I'm going to get this thing above 200. The Blazer does over 200. I've done it before. But this coil is problematic. I'm not sure it's going to last the whole shootout. Here we go, 150 watts, Blazer 200. The Blazer has decided to play ball. It knows it's in a shootout with other mega tanks. The flavour was absolutely kicking. Beautiful flavour, 150 watts, airflow wide open. That was good. It was warm, it wasn't hot. You could vape all day at 150 watts on the Blazer 200. So now we've got the Arctic V12 on the Rolo. This Rolo only does 200, so I won't be able to use it above 200. Okay, Arctic V12, 150 watts. Airflow wide open, of course. A little bit warm. The flavour is really good. The flavour is really good. A little bit warm, not hot. You could vape. You could vape that at 150 all day. Really wet, dense vape on the Arctic V12. Horizon Tech, I think, are a little bit underrated. This was actually one of the first tanks to come out with a 12 coil design inside, and it's really good. It's right up there with these other guys. So we'll do a switcheroo around here. Get the Melo on the Maxo. It's reading 0.14. The Melo does it so easy, 150 watts. Melo is right in its comfort zone at 150. That wasn't even hot. Not even hot. You could vape that all day at 150 watts. This room is getting cloudy. Doors closed. Hopefully we're not going to cloud ourselves out too much. Okay guys, we're going to step this up now. We're not mucking around. I'm not going to do 180. We're going to go straight up to 200 watts. Now, I've never done 200 watts on the TFV8. Hope I don't lose too many calls in this review. I'm definitely going to go through some juice, and I think I'll be a little bit jittery by the end of this. So here we go, TFV8, 200 watts. That's pretty warm, but doable. Yep, a little bit of a dry hit on that. Not sure the TFV8 is going to go past 200. Don't know if I'm going to try and go past 200. That was pretty warm. Not uncomfortable, but a little bit warm. Now this Blazer, I don't even know if the voltage is high enough on the Smok Alien, to be honest. I know it goes to 220 on the Smok Alien, but don't know if it's going to get, seems to get the voltage. I'm not trusting it, but let's have a go. The Blazer 200 handles 200 watts without a problem. Seriously. This tank does 200 watts without a problem. Unless, of course, the Alien has somehow the voltage is not going up too much. Maybe I'll switch it around on one of the others. I might actually do that. But let's move on to the Arctic V12. That's as much as the Rolo does. So Rolo is out of play after this. Here we go, V12, 200 watts. Yep, that's warm. That's warm. 200 watts. Not too uncomfortable, didn't make me cough, but that was warm and I didn't take a full pull on that. So, TFV12 is probably laughing at all the other tanks right now. Okay, here we go. 200 watts, TFV12. Not a problem. Not a problem with that. Just let me have a drink. Sugary drinks help when you're getting too much nicotine. That was easy. TFV12 has only just gotten out of bed. Okay. No more mucking around. Did I do the Melo? Did I do the Melo 300 at 200 watts? I don't even know. I don't think I did. So let's do it. Okay, Melo 300, 200 watts. It does it. Melo 300 does 200 watts. It's warm, it's not hot, not making you cough. Man, these things are going through juice. Okay guys, we're not mucking around now. We're going straight to 250 watts. Which means I'm only going to have 2 mods in play now. So I'll have to do a little bit of changing of tanks on the mods. TFV8, 250 watts. Not comfortable with this. I'm not going to have a full toke. Yep, that's hot. That's hot and dry, and that's as far as I'm going to go with the TFV8. TFV8, airflow, wide open, 250 watts, dry hit, not going any further. The flavour's fantastic on this tank. I love the TFV8, and it goes really well. And that's a kit, by the way. So TFV8's done. So how about we just go straight onto the Melo. That tank is feeling quite hot. Straight onto the Melo at 250. Any tank that gives me a dry hit leaves the contest. Okay, 0.16, Melo 300, 250 watts. That's hot, but no dry hit. It chucks it, 250 watts. Getting a little bit woozy. Don't know about this blazer. I'm going to give the blazer one go at 250 and see where it goes. Like I said, this tank was playing up on me the other day. 80 watts was feeling like 200. I knew something was wrong. Actually looks beautiful on the GX350. Look at that, rainbow colored blazer. Okay, it's asking me for a new coil. It's 0.24, by the way, 0.24 ohms. So here we go, Sense Blazer, 200, 250 watts. Wow, the blazer can handle it. The blazer can handle 250 watts. Getting warm in here. It's a balmy autumn night here in Sydney. And the blazer's got fire in its belly. So we're going to unscrew that because the Rolo now is no good. only does 200. So the Arctic V12 at 250 watts. New coil, 0.32 ohms on the Arctic V12. Here we go, 250. Yeah, that's warm. I'm not prepared to press that button longer than just, a few milliseconds. Not taking this 0.3 ohm coil any higher on the Arctic V12. 250 watts is as high as I'm willing to go. That was hot. If I press the button any longer, it would have made me cough. Now this is the big boy, the TFV12. We're taking that up to 250. Here we go. Gotta be kidding me. No dry hit. It was warm, it wasn't hot. 250 watts on the TFV12. It does it. It really does it. Now we go to the Melo, which is still warm from the last go. It's asking me for a new coil. It's now reading at 0.17. The juice is starting to run out. That's unbelievable. Yeah, hot, no dry hit though. It does it. It does 250 watts. Not going any further with it though. That's the end of the road for the Melo 300. In terms of flavour on these tanks, there's not much difference. It just depends on, each of them has a different sweet spot. The TFV12 probably needs about 170, 180. Smok TFV8 needs about 120. Okay guys, 300 watts, and I think that's about it. 300 watts on the Blazer, which I said was defective in the beginning, is still in the running with the TFV12. Here we go. Okay. It's hot. It all depends on how long you pull it. That's ridiculous. This Blazer is ridiculously powerful. 300 watts. And I've just taken 2 pulls on it. There's nothing left to do but vape the TFV12 at 300 watts. Because seriously, this thing is a chucking machine. That was hot. It wasn't overly hot. You can vape this at 300 watts. It's ridiculous. I would say the flavour on this guy is maybe not as good. You don't need something like this. This really is just to impress your friends. It's ridiculous. You can see there, it's 300 watts. It's 300 watts. I can go higher. Maxo does 315, I think. Yep, Maxo does 315. One more pull, and we're done. It does it. It's ridiculous. It does it. It really does it. 315 watts, and I didn't take a short pull. Okay guys, I'm vaped out. We're done. No doubt about it, the TFV12 is the Cloud Beast King, as was the TFV8 6 months ago. All these tanks are fantastic. You can see the room is ridiculous. It's a haze of vapor. I've probably just vaped 10 mils of liquid. I'm probably not going to want to vape for the rest of the night, but I'm glad I made this video for you. I think buy 1 or 2 of these tanks. Don't buy all of them. The Blazer 200 is a great tank. The Melo 300, the TFV8. TFV12 is really just a cloud chucker. If you want flavour, if you want a combination of flavour and vapor, TFV12 is not the one. The TFV12 is just to say, hey, I've done 300 watts. So that's it. That's a wrap from me, and I hope you got something out of this video.